all the blushes.
I just always plan for these videos to be like very smooth and very professional, and I don't know what happens every time, but it goes down the pan. I got this illegally on the black market. I didn't really, please don't call the police. So this video has taken a turn that nobody expected, okay? Least of all me. Shh. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be my March beauty roundup, where I'm going to be sharing all of my thoughts on all of the products that I tried that are new to me this month. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so there is like drilling going on today, so that's fun. I'm going to like push through and hope that it's not so annoying for you guys as it is for me having the live show, because I really don't know how long it's going to go on for, and you know, it may be midnight before we've got this video done. So I'm just going to push through. I'm going to pretend it's not happening. I'm going to plaster a smile on my face and stiff up a lip out, okay? Because we are English, that's what we do. So first up, I want to talk about this Love by Killian Don't Be Shy special blend for 2023. So this is the limited edition special blend that comes out every year. There's a flanker of the Love Don't Be Shy fragrance, and it gets released every year. Every year it's slightly different. I purchased the 2022 version and it wasn't a massive hit for me. I appreciate the fragrance, I appreciate the notes in it, and it was definitely something different for me, but it was so oody, so heavily oody from like start to finish of the fragrance that it was too much for me. It was that like real barnyard oody scent, and it was not like subtly in the background. It was like that was all you got pretty much. So I was hesitant to purchase this year's. So the thing that made me think that maybe this year's would be more wearable and maybe more in line with the original Love fragrance, sweeter, more easygoing and wearable for me and my preferences, was that this year's is the amber and oud, and the oud was in the base. You know, it still had that marshmallow and rose in the opening, amber in the middle, but the oud was in the base. So I felt like the oud was going to be quieter and more wearable, and that's why I purchased it. I will say it's not a million miles different from last year's special blend. I have taken a long time to gather my thoughts, and I've had a lot of people really heaping the pressure on me to tell them what I think of this fragrance. And let me say, I can't be pressured, okay? I will tell you what I think when I'm ready, when I've composed my thoughts, and that moment is now, okay? It sometimes takes me a long time, especially with fragrance, to kind of wear it over a few occasions, compare it back and forth, and just see how it performs and all of that. It takes me a while, so please be patient, especially when it comes to fragrance. I will share my thoughts as soon as I have comprehensive thoughts to share. And this has not been an easy one for me to kind of get my thoughts together on. It is a little sweeter and I think a little more wearable, and the oud is not quite as like overwhelming as it was in last year's special blend, but it is still very much a similar beast to last year's special blend. I would say if you have last year's, you can skip this one knowing that you have pretty much the same vibe. If you didn't like last year's, I don't think you'll like this year's anymore, because it is definitely in the same ballpark. It is definitely very oudy still. It's got a beast of an oudy note in there still. I will say that the dry down for me is beautiful. Very smooth. It does take a while to get there. So, you know, only really you can decide whether this is for you or not, but it's not a crowd pleaser. It's not going to be for everybody, and it's not so far away from last year's that you need both, or if you didn't love last year's, you will love this one. It's a very niche pleaser, this one. But that being said, I did get a free like deluxe sample of apple brandy with my Killian order, and this was a big hit for me, a surprise hit. Apple brandy has never been on my radar before as a fragrance I wanted to pick up, but now once this is gone, I am going to purchase this because it's just such an unexpected hit for me. It's so beautiful, and I mean, apple brandy really does like explain the fragrance, but it's just so warming and cozy. But it has, because of the freshness of the apple, it's still light enough that I feel you can wear daytime, you can wear it in spring, and the longevity of that fragrance is amazing. I will say the longevity and the sillage of the special blend isn't as beast mode as I expected it to be either, but the apple brandy, I mean, it wears for days, like through a shower and on your clothes for days, and everyone will smell it. It is a crowd pleaser, and I've really enjoyed this, and it wasn't even on my radar to try. It was just a free sample, so that one was a hit. I really liked it. Now, I do have so many flipping foundations to tell you about this month. My goodness, foundations coming out of my ears, and it's so tough to go back and forth with foundations. I only have one face. I've only got the one. That's all I was given. I've got to work with it, but it's hard, you know. I really want to wear foundations for weeks, the same foundation, to really, you know, get to the bones of the matter. But when 4 come out at once, that's trickier. But let's start off with the reformulated Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear. I used up an entire bottle of the original version a few years ago, and it wasn't like my typical foundation. It wasn't a glowy, luminous foundation that I typically love, but I really appreciated it because it wore so beautifully. It was very flattering on the skin, and it didn't transfer. It was very smoothing and refining and perfecting, and it wasn't flat matte either. It had a bit of natural soft matte of a finish to it. I was a big fan of the original. The original is like lots of people's holy grail foundation, so I was curious to try this reformulation. I don't love it as much as I do the original. It's so annoying. I don't know why this keeps happening. Why are we doing this? It's not a million miles away. I think what happens is this gives me serious full coverage, like off the bat with a small amount. I feel like the original was a bit more versatile, a bit more buildable than that. Like maybe you started off with a medium and you could easily build to a full. This is like, the coverage is right there off the bat, which is great. You know, everything is completely covered and neutralized. There's no redness. Everything is like flawlessly covered right off the bat with minimal product. It looks a little heavier and a little flatter, in my opinion, than the original, and I don't think it wears as well either. This definitely, for me, was not an improvement on the original. It was definitely not quite as great as the original for me. It's definitely a little too matte for me to want to wear it very often, and I just felt like it was just looking very makeup-y and a little heavy and just not as flattering as I remember the original to be. So if this was your holy grail, I pray you feel differently about the reformulation than I do. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this one as much as I was the original. Next up, let's talk about this IT Cosmetics CC Nude Glow. So this has SPF 40 in it. I've only tried this twice since I purchased this. So this is definitely one that of the 4 that I tried this month, this was the newest, and so I've tried this one the least. I've managed to squeeze in a couple of goes with it. And I think this is beautiful, okay? This has such a nice coverage. It feels like it's very light and thin, but it somehow is like neutralizes. I mean, I guess because it's got that color correcting quality to it, but literally with a very small amount and quite a light layer, this is like, what redness? Where? There's no redness here, you know? It's just like completely evening out my skin tone straight off the bat. It has a gorgeous glowy finish to it, and I think it's really beautiful, natural looking. I was admiring my skin all day. You know, it's one of those where you're like, oh, in the car mirror, oh, is that my skin? That's how I felt about it when I was wearing it. Beautiful. I did have some issues with the shade, as I feel like most people have been. This, I picked up the shade neutral medium. I was very confused online. There were very few neutral shades. Everything was warm. And this was definitely a lot darker than I was expecting it to be, and than like the equivalent shades in the previous IT Cosmetics sort of CC cream. Give me a month and this will be a great summer shade for me, but it was definitely a lot darker than I thought. I was kind of going conservatively a bit lighter, and it turned out to be darker than like the equivalent shades that I was expecting. And I've seen a lot of comments in the reviews saying they picked up their equivalent shade and it's way darker than like the original formula. So that's something to be aware of. This also doesn't have like the insane lemon meringue pie scent of the original, so that's nice. It does have a bit of fragrance, but it's not quite as like pungent as the original, but I just find this a really nice everyday whack it on, quite easygoing. It doesn't wear crazily well, I will warn you on that. Still kind of going with this one, but initially the first couple of times I've worn it, I've thought it looks beautiful. I did feel like it kind of emphasized or it settled a little in like my forehead line and my like smile lines, but not like dramatically, just not as perfect as some foundations that like my top faves. Next, let's move on to the Guerlain Terracotta Le Teint. This is probably the one that I have my thoughts the most together on. I just love this bottle with that detail on the cap. I think it's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I found 3N is like maybe a quarter of a shade deeper than my current winter skin tone, but I'm sure this is like the closest shade available, so I would recommend 3N if you're my winter shade match. The undertone was great. I was really thinking it was going to be super warm, as that's kind of been my experience of Guerlain. Whether or not it says neutral on the bottle, it's warm. That has been my experience. Not with this one. I felt like it was a very natural neutral undertone that really worked beautifully for me. This has such beautiful coverage. It is quite like pretty much a full coverage off the bat for me. Maybe it's like maybe a medium, like a solid medium, tiny bit of building and you're at a full flawless coverage. It's so smooth and perfecting. It's very flattering on lines and texture, and it does wear really nicely without setting. All of this is great stuff. For me personally, it's just not quite glowy enough to like make it into my top 5. I will still wear this one and enjoy it, but it's like a close, but just for me personally, no cigar. It's a very, very good foundation. If you like a sort of natural finish or you like a soft matte finish, this is such a good foundation. I really could appreciate it. It's just not my type on paper, okay? It's not my preference for a finish, but I couldn't complain about it as far as its performance, and how it looked was beautiful. It's just that I like a bit more luminosity. It's very similar to like the Pat McGrath foundation. It's very similar to the Lisa Eldridge foundation. I think the Hourglass has a bit more luminosity to the skin and a bit more coverage, probably. To give you some comparisons, I think this will be a big hit with those people who like a natural or a soft matte finish. I will definitely keep using this. It's just, yeah, it's not going to be in my top 5 because the glow is just not, I need the glow, all right, I need it. If you want to get in my top 5, you've got to give me some luminosity, some glow. That's what I need, personally. Don't know about you. And lastly, let's talk about the foundation I have on today, the one that has given me the most grief for the whole month trying to work out what is going on. It's the Saie foundation. What is it called? The Glowy Super Skin foundation. So this is the shade 10. That's my first issue. The shade, I think it looks okay today if you look face to body. The undertone, as you can probably tell, is not quite, it's not quite undertoning in the way I would wish it was. It's definitely a little peachy. I think this was supposed to be a neutral shade and I cannot fathom it. It's definitely warm. It's definitely peachy. It can't be a neutral shade. That can't be true. You know, let's compare to the Guerlain. Doesn't really help that I've got like lipsticks all over. But can you see, this is the Guerlain 3N and then this is the 10. I mean, you can, I'm sure you can see that's a neutral shade. That is not. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, like there's, yeah, that is not a neutral shade. That is like a warm, peachy shade in my opinion. So that definitely threw me off. That definitely was a bit of a sticking point for me in my review and just in when I've been wearing it, because I'm like, I want to love this so bad. I feel like this has got my name written all over it. It's like a medium coverage, super glowy foundation. And that's like me, that's me in a bottle. I want to love you, but I feel like it's made me work for it, okay? One shade, I've just had to come to terms with it. I've had to come to terms with the fact that this is probably the best shade for me until we hit the summer months. So that's annoying, but also the application process has been a bit of a learning curve. So I initially was applying this with a brush, and it takes work. It's one of those where I feel like I'm making more and more brush strokes, and it's just like not settling into the skin as easily as I wish it was. Now, if I just leave it once I've kind of applied it, it does work its way into the skin, but I do feel a lot of the time like I'm moving it around and I'm just making more brush strokes. But what I found is applying it either with a damp beauty blender or using a brush and then going over with a beauty blender, and then it gives me what I want it to give me much easier, but it's a little bit of work and process. I think this has the most glorious finish to it. It's so beautifully glowy. You know, I went into town earlier and got in a lift on the way home and was looking in the lift like, hello, angel skin, you've drunk your water today. That's what I thought. And then I realised it was me that I was talking to, and had to apologise to the rest of the people in the lift. By the way, is it just me, or when you get into a lift, do you have to instantly check how many people it says the lift capacity is and then make a joke about how you'll never get 13 people in here? Am I the only one who does that? Anyway, I've overshared and gone completely off course. My point is, I really want to love this foundation, and I'm getting there. I'm close, okay? I'm trying. I'm really liking it. I love the finish. Is it the smoothest foundation I've ever seen? No. When you've got a foundation this glowy, you're most likely to sacrifice a bit of smoothness for the glow, because I think it's, you know, pretty much a rule that, you know, a matte foundation is going to be sort of smoother than most glowy foundations, because the light's just reflecting on the glow, and it's going to expose your texture more than like a flat matte finish. So you do sacrifice a little bit of smoothness, but not terribly. It's not emphasizing texture, it's just not improving it or sort of hiding it, if you so get my meaning, if you wish, if you please. So there's that. Is it the longest wearing foundation? No, it's not long wearing. I feel like 5-6 hours, it's starting to fade off my chin and look a bit funky around the nostrils. But the finish is beautiful. And I think if I had a perfect shade and the undertones were really there for me, it would be going like top 5, top drawer. So yeah, I'm still using it. I'm still kind of like, I'm trying to work out what is going on in here, because I feel like everyone else loves it as well, and I don't know if it's just like playing with my emotions or if it's the shade that's just keeping me slightly off the love train. But yeah, at the moment I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I would give the Guerlain like a 9, not on like how much I love it. I personally prefer this one on me, but I think this one is better at what it's trying to do than this one. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully some of that made some sense to a single person watching. I doubt it though. Let's move on quickly. The new lipsticks from Pat McGrath. I don't know that there's any point in me telling you about these because I've reviewed them and they aren't a new formula, they're just new shades, but nonetheless, we're here, so why not continue? We're here now. I continue to hate this packaging, but that's cool, that's fine, you know? I love the shades. I think these are beautiful shades, and I've always liked this formula. Untamed Desire was the surprise hit for me, because look at that 90s nude. Look at it. A cooler supermodel 90s nude. Yes, I love it. I just wish Pat would sort out her online swatches so that it was less of a... I like a surprise as much as the next person, but not when it comes to my lipstick colours. I would like to not be surprised. I'd like to see the swatches online, order the shades I like, and then not be surprised when they turn up and they're completely different to what I thought I was getting. That's not the kind of surprise I like to get on board with, okay? So please, let's do that. I think these are beautiful. I've always liked the formula. If you're a big fan of the bows, or you can just look past them, I think they're really nice. Did they change my life though? Not yet. Next, let's talk about these new lipsticks from Laura Mercier. What are they called? High Vibe, of course. The High Vibe lipsticks. These are, you know, Laura Mercier's answer to Hourglass, to Tarte, Anyone else made an entry into these shiny, glossy lip numbers with plenty of pigmentation that I've forgotten? I'm sure there are. What I like, oh, that really popped right up. Do you see that? Woo, that's fun. I like that, I mean, that's just like hanging loose in there. That's not ideal, Laura Mercier. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Not ideal. But they do go like down, which I like. I don't love that that just snapped off. I don't think that was intended. But I like these colours. However, I went into the shops today and there were no other colours I wanted to buy. I feel like they're all very samey and not really my type of colours. And now you've just seen that one has just broken. So I was going to tell you that I love these, and I do. I think they're beautiful colours. I got Blaze and Love. So Blaze is this beautiful peachy colour, quite vibrant, and Love is this one that just snapped off live on camera and made a mockery of me. So yeah, I have been loving the formula of these. They're very comfortable, they have that nice high shine, but I'll say this, and I'll say it once, I prefer the Hourglass. Okay, especially as that just snapped right in my face. So this video has taken a turn that nobody expected, okay? Least of all me. Next up, let's talk about, I just always plan for these videos to be like very smooth and very professional, and I don't know what happens every time, but it goes down the pan. Next up, let's talk about this Dior Rivage eyeshadow palette. I got this illegally on the black market. I didn't really, please don't call the police. That is not 100% true. Okay, this has not been released just yet, but it's coming very, very soon. But I did manage to get this early through a friend who gifted this to me, and I have enjoyed it. I will say I have enjoyed it. It's very pretty, it's very refined, but it is very understated, very soft, very subtle. It's either for you or you're wondering what's happening. This is an expensive, probably in the £50 range of money, of price points, let's say. And it's giving me not nothing, it's not giving me nothing, it's giving me next to nothing. It's giving me very little. It's very soft and subtle. It is pretty, it's very pretty, it's very sophisticated, it's very classy, it's very elegant. But is it vibrant? Is it impactful? Is it wowing me? No, it's not. But it does do that Dior eyeshadow thing. I think this is very, very pretty, but it is underwhelming and it is slightly lackluster. I'm just trying to think of as many wonderful words as possible to say that it's just not exciting. It's not wowing. It's just, it's pretty and it's going to be for you, or you're going to be like, why would I pay £50 for that? You can barely see it. And I feel like I fell out into the second person category. So there's that. I'd like to review something in this video just like normally. I'm going to try. Okay, so this month I also picked up 4 new shades of Dior Addict sheer shiny lipsticks. I don't know, I can't stop buying them. They're my favourite lipstick formula of all time. I've got 425 now, I think, roughly, and I love them all. I'm obsessed with them. They're my favourite formula. 2 of these were new shades and 2 of these were existing shades I didn't know I needed, but I found out this month that I did in fact need them. First up, Nude Look. So this is not a new shade, it's a shade I thought was too light for me to wear, but it in fact is not. It's the perfect, easy, everyday, barely anything, school run appropriate lipstick, and I'm obsessed with it. I also picked up one of the new cases and it's my favourite case ever, the red leather. Stop it. Next up, I picked up Tartan, which is a new shade like for the spring. It's somehow, somewhere over the mountain, described as a red, a deep red or something. It isn't, it's like a sort of orange brown. That's just my opinion. And then we have Lady Red, I believe. Lady Red. Again, this is one of the new shades for spring, I believe. Gorgeous. I mean, perfect. Can't get enough. Very pretty, impactful red. Love it. Gorgeous. Bit of an orangey red, you know. I can't stop buying those. And then lastly, the other shade, which is not new, but is new to me. I'm just trying to fill while I read the name of the shade. I'm sure that was so well done that no one will notice. This is Tie and Dior. Tie and Dior. And it's the prettiest, like soft mauvey pink. Will that do as a description? Again, not a new shade, new to me. I can't stop buying these. I can't get enough. Every time I see or try a new shade or swatch a new shade or see a new shade that I don't own on someone else, it just falls into my shopping basket, and they are just delightful. I absolutely love. I've not yet met a shade I don't like, and I have so many of them, it's getting ridiculous. I'm gonna have to start opening my own Dior shop. But those new shades, they're just killing it. Next up, let's talk about the couple of products I picked up from Suqqu's spring collection. First up, this blush, number 139. I won't try to say the name because I will embarrass myself. But this has become an instant, like, all-time favourite blush for me. I've always liked this formula from Suqqu. Their blushes, very pretty, buildable, the glow of the blushes. It's delightful. It's so beautiful. This blush is like become, I want to say a top three all-time blushes. It's just so neutral and perfect and toasty that when I apply this, I feel like 4 degrees centigrade warmer than I did before I put it on. I feel like hot chocolate cheeks. Just so pretty and a bit bronzy and glorious goddessy vibes. It's just so glowy and beautiful and buildable and natural and luscious. It's the cheek of dreams. I think it's really right up there with some of my favorite ever blushes. And this formula is just so buttery and soft and buildable and blendable. And I mean, you see the glow, you see it, don't you? I don't need to tell you it's there. You see it with your own peepers. It's divine. I think Suqqu is like not available in the US, which is a travesty, but that's what you get when you don't give us house labs. Give us house labs and we'll give you Suqqu. Is it a deal? I also picked up this eyeshadow palette. It just wows me every time I see it. It wows me. I bought this just because it was something a little different. I wanted to review a couple of items from the collection. So I just thought, yes, sure, this looks a little different to me. Then I saw it in person and wow, she's glorious. It just looks so much prettier in person. And then I used it on the eyes and I am now a big fan. It's so pretty and unique. I don't have this on my eyes today, by the way, if you were confused. It's so beautiful. It is very different, but it's different and unique and special, but in a very understated, pretty, soft, wearable way. I'm really loving this. I think it's so special and beautiful, and it was a big surprise hit for me. I just kind of bought it on a bit of a whim, but I'm finding it glorious and fun and pretty and so lovely. They are all luminous finish. There's no mattes in here. It's basically like levels of shine and luminosity, but it gives you the prettiest look all together. I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. Next up, let's talk fairly briefly about these new products from Rare Beauty, because I literally just reviewed these today. I bought these today, filmed my review, and now I'm filming this video like half an hour later. So I don't have a lot more information for you on these products than I did like half an hour ago or in my review on these products, which will go up before this video. So I don't have anything new to tell you. But in case you missed that review, the 2 new blush shades I picked up, Worth and Virtue, they're my favorite shades ever. I have them both on my cheeks because I just filmed the review. So this is Virtue and this is Worth. I love them both. I think both shades are so wearable, especially Virtue. That's my favorite. It's just the peachy shade of dreams, and you know that's my favorite color of blush. I already liked this formula. I already knew that I liked these blush formulas. They are very, very alarmingly pigmented and very easy to use. So they will last you a very long time. So this is Virtue, which is that peachy beige. And then we have Worth, which is a true rose. Virtue and Worth, they are just so easy to use. They're so pretty, they're so pigmented. They have this lovely dewy glow to the skin, and I was not disappointed. I love both of these colors. I also have, what do I have? Joy on my lips. These are the two new shades that I picked up of the tinted lip oil. Again, I literally put this on my lips for the first time ever, like an hour ago. I just can't feel it. It doesn't feel like it's there at all. It has now dried down, so it's like lost a lot of its shine. Let's see how they reapply. So I'll say that sort of oily, shiny finish really only lasted like an hour before it kind of dried down and you're left with the stain. So yeah, I think these are really pretty. Way more pigmented than I thought they were going to be based off like my expectation of a lip oil. But I think the kind of lip oil part of this disappears quite quickly, and it's ultimately a lip stain because the oil part, the shinier finish part, just doesn't last very long. It's maybe an hour and they're going to have like kind of dried down, set down, and you're left with that stain. Lip stains are just not for me. You know, like I said in my review, I like to be able to take a lipstick off. Maybe I want to change my lipstick from daytime to the evening, or I'm doing something different and I just want to wipe it off and apply a new lipstick. And I don't want to be left with a stain that's going to really impact the color I put on top of it, which these do give you a stain. So they just really aren't my type of lip product. I think if you were looking for lip oils, these aren't going to be what you were expecting and probably aren't going to be what you want. If you like a lip tint, then these are going to be far more up your street. They have a lot of pigmentation, way more color than I expected, again, based off the fact that I thought these were going to be, you know, lip oils with a hint of colour and really sheer. And when I initially applied this, I thought they were just so beautiful and shiny and very, very pretty, but they darken down, they have a lot of pigmentation, and you do ultimately quite quickly get to the stain part, and that is the part that's just not really my type of lip product. So this is Joy and Serenity, the two shades I picked up. I think they're nice. I think if you like lip tints, you'll like them a lot more than I do. It's just not my type of product. I like the shinier, you know, Dior Addict. So yeah, something that's either for you or it's not, but I think they are really nice and effective, and the stain really is long lasting. You know, I literally just put those on my hand and they won't come off. So if you're looking for that sort of really long wearing like stain type of product, I think you'll love them. I have to eat humble pie because I picked up another Lisa Eldridge lipstick this month, and this is the shade Le Mepris. I would show you it, but there's no point because it's not going to show through this lip stain. It's got no chance because this is one of Lisa's luxuriously lucent lip colours there. Now, I didn't buy this one initially. It's so hard. I wish I could learn from my past mistakes that Lisa knows best. Just listen to her. If she tells you something's going to suit you, it's going to. She's a genius when it comes to colour theory and just colours in general. She's so clever with the colours that she makes. I thought this was just going to be too light for me. It's not going to suit me. It is a very light sort of peachy beige shade. And then I saw Lisa use this with fawn lip liner, and I was like, Lisa wore Le Mepris with fawn lip liner. Now I need to wear Le Mepris with fawn lip liner. So I purchased it. I tried it with fawn lip liner. It was chef's kiss glorious of a combo, but it's stunning on its own as well. I need to wipe, you know, all foundation and product off my lips to get this to not look like foundation lips on me, but then it's just the prettiest soft nude of life. It's so pretty and like just easygoing, and I think even in summer, combining it with the fawn lip liner, I'll be able to still wear it because it's just it's like the sort of beigeier version of Mimi Rose. That sort of soft, pretty, feminine, really understated, gorgeous lip. It's so beautiful, and I'm so happy to have added her to my collection, especially as Lisa has now told us there are going to be no new luxuriously lucent lipsticks this spring, which broke my heart into 100 pieces because that's like one of the highlights of my year. But she says it's because she has other exciting launches coming, so I mean that's some consolation, isn't it? And lastly, let's talk about these highlighters from Guerlain. I've already told you about this one. This is the warm gold shade, the one that I've had for weeks and weeks now, again, obtained illegally on the underground makeup market. And then this month I picked up the other shade, the Cool Ivory shade. I was thinking Cool Ivory was going to be better for me, better for my skin tone, because the warm gold is quite gold and warm. Shockingly, I know. So, you know, I'm thinking when I swatch this every time, I think I might have to use the other hand because this one is so covered in stain. Nothing is showing up. So there you have it. That is the warm gold shade. It just looks like it's going to be very gold and yellow on me, but obviously that's a heavy swatch, and I find when I use it on my cheeks, it's really not a problem. It looks beautiful. But I did think that this Cool Ivory was going to be a better shade. I knew I absolutely loved the formula of this highlighter, and I just sort of thought maybe if that shade's a little too gold, a little too warm for me, this is going to be even better. And oh my goodness, this shade is so stunning. So we have the Cool Ivory on this side and then the warm gold. I mean, they're both delightful and absolutely stunning. But as I expected, the Cool Ivory, it just sort of melts into my skin a bit easier. I do have to use a lighter hand with that one because otherwise I do get like a sort of stripe and it can kind of be a bit grey if I use it too heavy-handed. But the finish is just stunning. It's exactly what I live for highlighter. It's so smooth and flattering and luminous, but not sparkly or glittery. Doesn't enhance my texture. Guerlain does highlighters so well, and these are so beautiful. These are definitely making it into like my top drawer. Some of my favorite ever highlighters. I can't stop using them. Absolutely love them. So there you have it. That is everything that I tried new to me in the month of March. Please let me know what you're trying and loving this month, and also let me know what you're hating. Have you had any fails this month? Let us know the goss, the hot tea, in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.